Hi, I'm Monica.
And I'm Mads.
Welcome to Bras Off, Walls Down, a space where women share their real, raw, and unfiltered stories.
No topics off limits. No story too big or too small.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back. If you're here again, thank you for sticking through it all. And if you're new, welcome.
Yeah.
And today we have a special guest. We got Lisa, who is actually my mother-in-law. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
How's everyone's week been?
Monday, great day. Tuesday, my child broke me as a woman. I am defeated, like in the shower, full meltdown, tantrum like a child. We both cried. Today's a new day. We're feeling good.
You said you cried more than she did.
I did. Yeah. She cuddled me for a while, going, while I sobbed in her arms. And she just went, oh, mummy. And then
She's like, oh, God.
slowly moved away, but she just stayed close for a few hours, just close by. I'm sitting at the table like,
She's like, is this my life?
mummy's emotional. And then we hug pillows to regulate our emotions. I make her do that. A few hours later, she comes up to me and she goes, mummy, turn, squeeze.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
She should have come in with like 3. Like,
Mummy needs to squeeze a pillow. But no, today's a new day. We're feeling good. So
good.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of an emotional roller coaster week
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, I had a bit of a thing on the weekend, and that sort of just spiraled me out. And then yesterday was a bit of a strange day too. And so now I just don't know where I'm at.
it's going to make it by for the rest of the week.
Yeah, but I feel like today we've had a productive day.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, maybe not productive, but we've had a good day. How's your week been so far, Lisa?
Good. Worked on Monday and it was a shocker of a day. I never thought the day would end. But I got through it. Nobody died. Didn't have a car accident, so I'm all good.
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
There are specific things to get through. Wow. I'm glad.
Life as a community nurse on the road.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was good. And then today, as I said, I went out shopping and had coffee and just de-stressed.
That sounds like a good day.
Yeah, that's a good Wednesday
Day.
just to
Coffee
get through the rest of the week. You
Yeah.
need to.
Absolutely.
Well, before we dive into everything about Lisa and what Lisa does for a living, we'd love to ask you your most recent I'm just trying to survive life moment.
Okay, so this happened so I have a son that lives still at home with me and he plays soccer. So we train twice a week and he plays on a Sunday. I picked him up from the train when he finished work and I said to him, right, don't forget to remind me, because the fuel's so cheap, to put some fuel in the car. I drove past the petrol station and went home. I drove him to soccer practice, past the petrol station. I picked him up and he said to me, Mum, did you put fuel in the car? I went, oh, God damn it, no, I didn't. Thanks for reminding me. So
All this time, driving
all
past.
the time. So we got to the petrol station like 9 o'clock at night, putting fuel in my car because it was cheap on a Tuesday.
At least it was
busy?
probably a bit quieter at that time.
Yeah, it was so. Like it wasn't packed like it was at 5, but there was still a few, but I still had to wait.
Yeah, you probably subconsciously drove past when it was busy. Just like,
Probably did. Yeah. Not stopping.
Lisa, I'd love to know, is there a moment from your life that you think shaped who you are today and where you are today?
There's probably many, but I, at a very young age, had to be very responsible for not only myself but for others. And I kind of think that has shaped the way I deal with situations. It's meant that I've always had a older kind of outlook. Like I haven't really been a kid. I've just had that older, responsible, like me. That's just what I do. And I think that has led, I'm very empathetic, and that's led me down the path of wanting to look after people, making sure people are okay, making sure kids are okay, which was kind of a natural progression into nursing.
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few people out there that are like in the same situation where they've had to grow up quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And most of us become nurses.
And when you were younger, did you want to be a nurse, or what did you actually want? Like when
no.
we asked little Lisa, what did little Lisa want to do?
Little Lisa wanted to work with puppies and babies.
Yes, puppy day, and actually you're really good at sort of puppy baby daycare.
Yeah, it was like I've always been surrounded by children, always, like of all various ages, and I've always had a really good rapport with kids. I don't know what, and even dogs. Dogs seem to trust me, and if I'm walking down the park, guaranteed a dog will come to me every time.
Magnetic.
It's just, one of those things. And that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to work in daycare or be a teacher. And then I'm not sure what happened, but I kind of started like going towards, well, why are you feeling like this? Like, oh, you're hurt. What can I do to help you? And I think that natural progression from, well, I want to fix something. How do I fix something? And, most of the time kids will come to you with scraped knees or, I've got a headache or whatever. And it's like, well, how do I fix this? And why do you have a headache?
Yeah.
And it kind of progressed into, nursing.
Yeah, so you're interested in sort of why behind it and how can I help?
Like the human body is fascinating. Even now, it is fascinating to me how it heals itself, how it gets broken in the first place, how people treat it. It's just, something that, like, there are some things, like your brain, it will never be solved because it is such an individual and such a amazing organ that even now to this day, there are still things in the brain that they can't explain and don't know how to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love this sort of stuff. I'm really intrigued now.
And so, is it something that you want to, like, you just need to keep learning about and you're always looking and learning and researching and
always.
you feel like your education's never ended?
Yeah. So I've been in the healthcare field for about 23 years now.
Wow.
I still don't know I feel half of what is actually out there, which led me down a research path. I wanted to expand my nursing and I've done a couple of outside like diplomas and certificates to learn. So I learned how to research things and like just jumping in and going all the way back to the beginning to try to find out, well, why does that happen? What have they done to fix it? And what can we do to fix it? It just fascinates me. And same with like just clinical nursing. There is just so many different pathways and so many things that I think even now we don't know and things can be improved upon. Yep, always everything changes.
Yeah.
I love this. It sounds like me. I'm always like, why?
I'm a white person.
Yeah. It keeps everything open all the time to learn. Yeah. Like your brain is always like, well, why? Okay, how do I do it? How do I learn it? How do I fix it? It's great. Yeah. And then implementing that to help other people is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes the why terrifies me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm
like, just make it work. I don't have the time or the patience, just make it work.
Yeah. I'm like, that worked. Why?
And so you said 23 years. Do you think the industry's changed a lot in that time?
Absolutely.
Is there like a constant need to stay up to date? I imagine just like a hairdresser, things change, right? Like they can't be doing the same hairstyles they started doing in the 80s now because we've come so, and I know that's more to do with trends, but is nursing the same? Like there's just this constant
evolution of
there's definitely changed, but there are also treatments that we have actually gone back to because they worked so well back in the early 1800s that we now go, oh well, we could actually improve on that and make it work better. So for an example of that, where they say they used to put like leeches and
I was just about to suggest I was like, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, so now there is actually lab-grown leeches that are applied to wounds that just cannot heal for one reason or another.
Really?
Maggots into the wound bed, and they clean it up beautifully. Wow. And we've actually gone back to that practice.
Which sounds so almost barbaric when you think about it, because you watch all like Game of Thrones and all like old-timey sort of, and that's all the, bloodletting and the, maggots and leeches and stuff. So it's so interesting that we're coming back to that.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I kind of got the first-hand experience. So that's more done in a hospital-based setting. But in community, we have people that, might not look after their wounds as good as what we educate them to do. So, in particular cases, sometimes they might have a bandage and they've decided they're going to go and do the gardening, and they might get a bit of a blowfly go into their wound, lays the maggots. We come along to change the dressing and go, oh my God, but it looks so good.
Oh, wow.
It's so clean.
It's like a benefit.
Yeah, so we don't promote doing that.
No.
But yeah, there is an occasional case where we've gone, oh my gosh, that looks so good.
That is mind-blowing.
That is.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Do you think that, is there anything else that you suspect might come back, or anything you're hoping would come back?
That's probably one of the grosser kind of ones. Bloodletting, that's a definite no, not going to happen ever. Thank goodness. That's definitely barbaric practice. But I think just the general now, people being aware.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's more, because back in the day they used to have like, alchemists and things that would do everything and say to people, right, this is what you need to do. And then you kind of went through the period where people didn't look after themselves and they kind of wouldn't see people to go, okay, well, I've got a problem, to now where people are very aware of their bodies and their wounds and whatever else that's going on. They're very much aware of it. So that can only be a good thing.
You mentioned before about the body's ability to heal itself.
Yes.
Do you think there are things that I don't know how to put this, that maybe we should be focusing more on that we maybe go straight to a doctor for, or we sort of go down the sort of more medical path when maybe our bodies just need time and they could?
Yeah, it all depends on what it is that's ailing you. So it's the old adage that you are what you eat is very much true. We know that the more sugar you have in the body, the less your body is going to be able to heal itself. We know that if you drink too much or you smoke, that your body is going to be far slower to try to heal itself, and you're putting barriers in the way to good healing. But we also know that, we can go to a doctor and we can have Western medicine and that will surely help. But there are pathways as well where you don't have to necessarily have all of the Western medicine. It can be very complementary. An example of that is what I mean is I suffer from migraines. Now, I've taken many painkillers to try to kill off a migraine. I've been given all sorts of things. A friend of mine many years ago introduced me to the world of oils. And I foo-fooed it, being a nurse, Western medicine rules. I foo-fooed her for quite a while until one day I turned up at work and I could barely see because this headache was so bad. And she said to me, for goodness sake, let me help you. And I was like, okay, I'll do whatever it takes. And she did. She said, right, here you go, put this on your forehead, do this, do this. I was like, okay. And sure enough, within about half an hour, it didn't kill it, but it took the edge off enough that I could actually function as a normal person. And that's kind of what made me dabble in, it's not just Western medicine that can help, it is also complementary as well, but neither one should be neglected.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's good advice. Yeah. Especially because you do see that there's a lot of extremes these days. And I'm obsessed. There's this, the Herbal Academy. It's actually in America. And if the courses were like, you could do it here, I'd massively do it. But it's like old school, like alchemy sort of stuff. But they do it with just all flowers and plants and herbs, and it's all like quite natural medicine. But then you do get the extremists on.
Yeah. People seem to think you've got to pick one or the other, but definitely mix both.
They're definitely a partnership, definitely. You have to remember that Western medicine came from plants and things, but it's evolved so much now and it is so much better that, it is a definite partnership.
Yeah.
If something in the Western medicine isn't working, try natural therapy. If a natural therapy doesn't work, try a Western medicine. They work in conjunction together.
Yeah. And especially, because everyone's body is going to react differently.
That's right. There are very different bodies. Every body's, even a twin, is not exactly the same. There is always something that is going to be different.
Have you always been in community nursing ever?
No, I did hospital-based. I did all my training through Charlie's. Big advocate for Charlie's. Great hospital, great nurses in there. They're really good. And then when I had kids, it was like, Mum needs to be able to sleep. I cannot do shift work.
I get.
So it was kind of like the introduction to community nursing. It's far better. It was 7 to 3. There were no night. Well, back in the day, there was a slight night shift, which isn't really, we'd be finished about 7. It was manageable. Yeah, much more manageable.
Yeah, especially around 3 boys.
Yes.
And in your nursing career, what is the weirdest or strangest thing that you've witnessed or experienced that you're allowed to share?
There are many. Probably the one that sticks out most in my head is when I was very first nursing, very green, didn't know a great deal, came out, got thrown in the deep end, to see a client whose legs, you see wounds where you see, someone might have a gaping hole in their leg surrounded by skin, right? Someone might have a scratch. Someone might have something. This particular person that I had seen had no skin. It was just leg. And I was like, oh my God, how are we ever going to heal this? Because my basis at that time, my knowledge was, well, you need a little bit of skin so that all the cells grow and everything all connects up and makes new skin. I was like, how are we going to do that if there is no skin anywhere at all? And it was the first time I'd actually seen something like that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
You can't prepare yourself for that. Like, I can't imagine it.
No, I
like,
can't
you see
picture
it on the picture of the man, with the thing. I can't. Seeing it in real life is probably completely different.
Yeah. And that was my very first week of being a lone nurse out by myself.
Oh, wow. Did you heal
That's
it?
what I mean. I was like,
curious about it.
took months and months and months, but we did heal it. Yeah,
Wow.
It took a long time, but he did get skin to grow and we did heal that leg up quite nicely.
Wow. Yeah, right.
And what sort of nurse are we in the community nurse? Like, I imagine that it's a bit like you have a nurse personality. Like, do you know what I mean? Like nice, nurturing, motherly type nurses. And I imagine there's nurses that are like, this is how it's fucking done.
Yeah.
If you don't do that.
That's what you're told. Funny, because I started out as a nice, friendly, it's okay, this is what we'll do. And now it's like if someone gives me grief, it's the mum voice comes out. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. You have to do it like I've said or it's not going to heal.
Oh, no.
And do you have any patients that you'll just never forget? Like, in a good way, they sort of...
That you will always have patients that I'll never forget. The stories, there are many, many stories from every nurse. Every nurse has many stories. My one, again, I was probably a year out. About a year out community nursing, and at that stage we drove little tiny cars, little tiny Getzes, and I was going out to a country patient, so out the back of Byford, Serpentine kind of area. And back in those days it was bushland, lots of bushland, lots of kangaroos, and I was going out there early, so he was going to be my first one. So on my way out, I came over I think it was Serpentine Bridge, come out, and of course this kangaroo decided he was going to hop straight in front of the car, and I could see him coming, and it's a 100k road on tiny little Gets in the dark, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hit this creature. So I hit the brakes, obviously, kept the car on the road, and just as he hopped, his tail flicked up and smashed like the headlight and the indicator. But I missed him, like I just hit his tail, and he really didn't do a great deal of damage. But it was enough for me to be shaken. It's my first time I've ever hit anything on the road, especially living. And I watched him and he bounced off. So I was like, okay, well, he's fine. And I'm fine. That was my turn. So I go to my client's house and I parked my car and I got out and I went in, and he took one look at me and he goes, what happened? Like, what happened? He said, what's the matter? He goes, you're white as a ghost. He said, you're shaking, sit down. And he was lovely. He sat down and, like, instead of saying to me, oh, well, you're fine, come do my dressing or come and do this, he actually said to me, right, sit down, I'll make you a cup of tea, you'll be fine, we'll ring your boss and let her know what happened, and you'll be fine. And, and that was like a turning point for me, because I'm like, I was steeling myself going, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Just calm down, take a breath. But when you have clients that actually care about you, it's a very different thing.
Yeah. We were at a barbecue, or I think maybe a pizza night. It was a pizza night in our house. And we were talking about getting you on here, and you mentioned a particular book. Can you share with everyone what that book was and why we're so excited to talk about it?
Okay, so the book, the reason this came about is that, as I said, I've been doing extra study after I've got my degree, and it's come about because I did a diploma with wounds and continence and stomas. So amongst all of that, because stomas can be quite damaging to body image. So one of the classes was all about young girls and dealing with stomas and dealing with the different shapes and sizes of their vulvas. Now, I didn't even think this was a thing. As I said, I've been in healthcare many years, haven't really come across it until I did this course. Now, during the course, the book is called Our Real Bodies, and it is all about, it's actually real imagery of people. I think there's about 50 different women and their labias, sizes, shapes, colours, you name it. And it's all about a positive body image. At the minute, there are young children, there are adolescents, and there are women as well that are going in for what's called like labiaplasty. And they want to make things nice and they want to make things neat. It's an unnecessary surgery in most cases. There is plenty of research out there done. The Journal of Pediatrics and Adolescents Gynecology is a really good journal read. They have an article there that explains quite a lot of things. And where has this all of a sudden come from? It is quite a recent thing.
Yeah. What do you think's changed? You know, is it our access to sort of what we can see these days, like from pornography, or just, I guess, those sorts of images are a lot more out there these days. There's a lot more photoshopping. And where do we think these girls, the young girls, where do we think this is coming from?
That's a good question. The research says there's a few different areas they have found that they think this is coming from. So some of it is pornography. A lot of kids now, like, they have access to things that, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they never had access to. So they can see all manner of things in all manner of spaces. So the pressure for people to be body perfect now in this day and age has, I think, come to the extreme. Like, now that we're talking about vulvas and vaginas and they have to be perfect, it's like, why? Why do they have to be perfect? It's not like you're walking down the street showing it off everywhere.
Yeah, it's gone beyond like what you physically see straight away. Now it's like deeper than that.
It is far deeper than that. Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I would never have thought of that. From now to back then, like, I would never have questioned that.
No. Yeah. And some of it has actually come, and you'll think this is really funny. Well, I thought it was very funny when I heard it, is, when you see celebrities, and about 2-3 years ago, we went through a stage where celebrity women in particular were getting out of cars with no underwear.
Yeah. I remember that one well.
Yes. So there is a thought that that's where all of this started from. Wow. Because there was an opinion on somebody's vulva that happened to be flashed that they were like, ooh, and it stemmed kind of from there as well. Yeah.
Which makes sense as well, because obviously the public is so opinionated on any of these people, and it's, whether they want to wear knickers or not, that's their prerogative. Yes, they're getting out of a car. Unfortunately, they can't control how many paparazzi are there. But you would think that if you knew that could be a situation, you just put some knickers on, right? Yeah. But obviously, anything that's out in the world, people feel that they can have an opinion on. And there are so many keyboard warriors. They're so loud. Yes. So I guess if you see this image and you see all these people going, oh my God, that's hideous. Like, why doesn't she get that fixed? And then if you're like, oh, I think mine looks like that. And to be actually... Side note on this, I don't think I've ever actually properly got a mirror down and looked at my own anyway.
I did after a baby.
You did?
It's the worst time.
Yeah. Because it does change after baby. How many people do we think actually...
Yeah, a lot of people don't pay much attention at all.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of women.
And sometimes it can come from their partner saying, like, especially after you've had children, having a comment or an opinion, and straight away the girl's gone, oh, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So straight away they've gone to a doctor, they've gone to a GP, and they've gone, oh, there's something wrong. And the GP's gone, no, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. You're not scratching. There's no odour. Like, there's nothing. You're fine. That is what it is meant to look like. And that's where these resources has come in. Like the Labia Library is the one that has the pictures that is given to adolescent girls that have gone in and said, I want labiaplasty. Now, some of these girls haven't had children yet. Some of these girls are just girls. And some women, even the same, they're like, well, everything has to be perfect and neat and tidy, whereas why? It actually doesn't. As long as it's functioning and there's no actual illness or, worry to it, leave it alone. It's yours. Be happy with what you have.
Yeah, that's crazy. And obviously you have 3 boys. If you had, knowing this now, and obviously it's not something that all mums and women know about anyway, they might not have experienced themselves, and this was the first time I've heard of something like this, but if you had this knowledge and you had a girl, is this something you think you'd bring up with them as a teenager as an open conversation?
In my house, with my background, yes, it would be, just because I am a nurse. And even with the boys, it's a reasonably open conversation. If you have something wrong, you talk to mum, like mum knows. And quite a few times, like I've got my textbooks out and I've gone, here you go, read that. Yeah. This is what you need to read. This will explain it to you. If you don't want to talk to mum, here's the literature. Read that and just see, that what you're feeling or experiencing is right. Or,
Because some families don't want to talk about it at all.
No.
I've made a very conscious effort with Hazley. Like, she's 2 and she already knows every single body part from head to toe. And I've done that so that A, she can communicate about her body, and B, she can... Like, she knows and she's aware of what's happening. And if she has questions, I can be like, here's an answer.
And that's where, like, the good touch, bad touch system comes in for little girls. Like, you touch your head, yes, that's good. You touch your arm, yes, that's good. You touch anywhere else that you shouldn't be touching, no, that's a bad touch.
Yeah.
You tell mum that's a bad touch.
Yeah.
And that, again, is very proactive for the kids now. It's a shame that we need that, but it's out there.
I was talking to someone about this recently, and I can't remember who I was talking to about it, and they said it's a shame that we have to do that. And I said yes, but it's actually a good thing that we are doing it now, because I think it's always been such a quiet thing.
So now, hidden away.
Yes, it's sad that we have to do that, but it's always been sad. And now we're actually aware of it. Like you said, we're more aware of our bodies. So now the fact that we are doing that is actually a good thing.
Yeah, they're proactive.
Yeah.
Why do you think we don't talk about vaginas a lot? Why, even between friends, like, if you've got
my friends.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, hang on. See, I've never had the friends where that's like a conversation. Yeah. Like, if I've got an itchy arm, I'll tell you, I've got a fucking itchy arm. But if I have an itchy vagina, okay, maybe if I'm talking to you, I'll be like, oh, I've got a little itch. But
it's not, it is still taboo. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still like, if you noticed an odor down there, I don't think it's something a lot of people would talk to many people about. Like, there's a bit of embarrassment or shame. Yeah. I wonder where that comes from.
I think some of it, is quite deep-seated. Like, it goes back years and years and years. Like, you didn't talk about things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I've been watching Bridgerton and I'm like, oh my God, like, none of that. It's all taboo. Like, they never even talk to their daughters about having sex on their wedding night, or, they just, everything to do with your sexuality was taboo. And I think it just stems in families. Sometimes it's a cultural thing, which can be good or bad.
Is there anything else when you were diving into this subject that you learnt that you were like, wow?
I can tell by that there's a lot.
I was just astounded at the age and that this was actually a thing. I knew, like, body image for girls, lots of girls are having implants, lots of girls are having, you do your hair, you do your nails. They have this image where everybody wants to look the same. They all want to be perfect. But, in reality, you'll never be perfect because the human body is not meant to be perfect. There will always be something. And I guarantee if you ask anybody, somebody will always say, oh, yeah, I hate my eyes, or I hate my legs, or I hate my hair. Or
even someone who's had all the work done.
Yes, even somebody that's had every implant you could possibly imagine will still say to you, no, I don't like this. And it just astounded me that this was a thing, that this was, like 1 in 10 people have labiaplasty. And it's like, there's not a medical reason.
I didn't even know that this was a thing until Amanda was telling me about your conversation. And I was like, oh, what? What's that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Especially because any type of plastic surgery isn't cheap. So
No.
the to want to invest that much money and that recovery time, you really have to have that mindset, that
Really want to change it.
issue, and really want to change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, in Gen Z, it's like 23% of Gen Z are embarrassed or ashamed of their labias. It's 23%.
Wow.
That's a high number of, a body part that's not really talked about a lot.
No, or seen a lot.
That's right.
Very few people, your doctor, your gynecologist, if you have a baby, and any of your partners. That's it. You don't really go and sit down at the table and throw your leg up in there and go, look what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a few strange looks.
You would.
Yep.
Like, it's I almost lost for words, especially because young girls
Yeah.
Yes.
feel so sorry for them. There's already, so, as you said,
This was
there's already
heartbreaking.
so much pressure on us. And I feel like it's getting more drawn out and longer and into, women, we can't have grey hair. But men, they're silver fox. They're fine.
Yeah.
But
it literally doesn't end. It's going to go down to the size of your big toe or something.
Yeah.
It's just every little piece. Yeah.
That's
as
right.
you say, and we were talking about this when we were talking about how much it costs to maintain yourself, I say in quotation marks these days, between hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, Botox, lip filler, your skin. Yeah. Did I say hair? Your clothes, dry brushing, all the things, your nails, your tanning, like the upkeep is just, you need a job just for upkeep, let alone job for everything else we have to pay for in life. When does it end if now we've got vagina surgery?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a third of GPs have said they have had the conversation with people about labiaplasty. It's a third of your GPs. And
That's
it's
insane.
like,
That's a
That's a
it's a
high
lot.
number, yeah.
Yeah. Big numbers.
I wonder do you have the stats on how many people actually go through with it?
Nearly 19,000 labiaplasty procedures were performed. This is in the US, not Australia. It's obviously much larger over there, in 2021.
wow.
19,000 people had enough of an issue that they decided to go ahead with it.
What is, in medical terms, obviously these procedures are usually created for medical reasons first.
Yep.
What would, be the medical reason you would need that done?
Some people might have cancer
Yeah.
on there. Yep, cervical cancer that goes through. A friend of mine actually had to have labiaplasty due to having cervical cancer, and they needed to remove one side, which she did. It was in order to save her life. If she didn't do it, it was going to be not good at all. But again, that was medically necessary.
Yeah.
And she never recovered her body image in her mind after having that particular surgery.
Yeah.
She never recovered. She became celibate after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
And people are doing
sad.
this for fun.
Yeah. And she was only 28.
In reality,
Oh,
Only 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And you're just worried about how it looks for
Yeah.
a handful of people.
Yeah.
And a doctor doesn't care.
The doctor does not care.
No. Gynecologist does not care.
No. I believed that before having a kid, and then after a kid, I'm like, they do not care.
No. They see so many, it's like white noise.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you find in your nursing as well, topics like this are harder for people to talk about and come forward with issues on? Because
Yeah, absolutely. Unless there's something like, as I said, they think they've got an infection, or if they're like, oh my God, there is something growing, like I've got a lump, and I'm like, well, go see your GP. And they're like, oh, I can't, it's disgusting and it's embarrassing and I'm like, no. I said, how many vaginas do you think your GP sees? I said, if you're not comfortable with your GP, go to a gynecologist. I said, that's all they do all day, in and out.
Yeah.
I said, they don't care. Nobody cares. It's a medical thing that you need to have looked at. And there are cases where people have that, where there is maybe a lump and they are too embarrassed to go. And that's where you have a problem, because then that lump grows and becomes nasty and turns into a big drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice do you think you would give to anyone that is either out there going, well, mine's definitely looks weird. Or anyone who maybe as a mother that thinks their daughter is thinking that they've got an issue. Is there anything that you would tell them?
Yeah, that your body is yours and it's not weird. There is nothing wrong. As I said, if there's no lumps or bumps or anything, it's you. Like, you have one body. Your body is completely different to my body, and my body is completely different to your body. It's yours. Be happy with it. Be proud of it. Look after it. It is something that is yours. Unless there is a medical issue that you need to go and see somebody, you are fine. You are you. This is what makes you, you.
I was just saying to Monica this morning, I was picking my pet self apart in the mirror when I was doing my makeup. So every now and then I'm like, yes, this is such a reminder we need for all of us, whether it's about your face, whether it's about your vagina, whether it's about your body. It's so true. We only get one body.
Yep, and it's yours. You are individual.
You will get to like 90 years old and you will look back and go, I liked it then, I liked it then, I liked it then, I liked it then. So why are we picking it apart now?
Yeah. Well, so many people want to focus on the negative of what they've got, whereas don't pick yourself apart. Why are you not focusing on the positive?
Yeah.
You might have, I don't know, say you've got big bushy eyebrows, but your eyes are beautiful. Why are you not focusing on how beautiful your eyes are?
Yeah.
Or why are you not focusing on something like focus on the positive?
Yeah.
It needs to be turned around now. It's gone too far. And people with their body image, they need to start focusing on what is good. Like, what's your best trait? What do you think is best about you?
It's the same with strength training and being in the gym, like as a coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, changes happen to your body when you do certain things, but when we start appreciating what your body can do and what the exercise and the training does to your body in a positive way, the more you focus on that, the less what you look like even matters. It does become a distant thought. Some people think they're going to be stuck with that forever, but it will disappear.
Yeah.
And it'll be something that you do not think about anymore.
Because we've got that negative bias, and that comes from when we needed it for survival. We don't really anymore, but it's ingrained there. And if we could flip that, as you say, and start, maybe we need to go out of our way to start reminding each other first.
Yes.
Maybe that will help, because we're very good at seeing it in other people, but not in ourselves, are we? Like, if you ask me right now, Amanda, what do you think is your best feature? I'd probably like crumple into a ball and hide under the table. And that's the wrong thing, right? I don't know if we think we're like being big-headed or like anything like that, but we're very...
Well, the women tear each other down most of the time as well. It comes from other women. So if we can bring each other out.
And I think this is where the media plays a big role, because, there is airbrushing out there. There is AI out there. Nothing is as perfect as what you think it is. If you see people, like the classic example, recently they had Pamela Anderson. Now, she was a goddess back in her day. Perfect. Everything was perfect about her. She just was a beautiful woman. And she is a beautiful woman. But when you see her without her makeup, she looks very different to when she's made up and in front of a camera. And people don't see that side of her. And, I applaud her for going out with no makeup and going, well, this is me.
Because she does that now, doesn't she?
She does,
She's a big advocate for it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vaginas and all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe don't go show that.
Yeah. Maybe keep that just,
I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But be proud of it.
Exactly.
That's right. Be proud of what you have.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it all on, really, because I normally ask what advice you would give, but you just nailed that on the head.
Yeah,
I feel like I just think I just got like mum schooled then, like your vagina.
And I think we could leave some links to resources and books.
Absolutely. So the books, the Labia Library is the biggest one. That is the one that shows you the photos of about 50 different people, that every single labia vagina that you look at is perfect. They are yours. There is nothing wrong with it at all, you know. Also the book like Real Bodies, that's another one that goes through that. Will have the stats for you if you want to look into anything. The stats are all in there. It's about 30 odd pages, but it's a really good read for women to learn and know that they are normal. There is no such thing as an abnormal labia. It's normal. It's yours. Be proud of it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. And if anyone has any other questions for Lisa, like, please let us know, because we do feel like we could have kept going even on just nursing stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you have any questions for Lisa, let us know. If you want to see Lisa back, and we can discuss more either vaginas or
one of the other things you've dived into, because you love that. So I know that there's lots there.
Yes, exactly. Let us know. And if you are loving the podcast, please leave us a review, because it does help us and it does help the podcast reach even more women. And we're hoping to open up a lot more discussions through our time here on the podcast. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye. If you loved this episode, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss a chat.
And we love seeing where you're listening. Tag us in your stories at Bras Off, Walls Down, and let us know your favourite takeaway.
Got a question or a topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs. We love hearing from you.
See you next time.